Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a new episode of The Truth is Barrel Proof. I'm Jack Bigadoo, your host today, and I'm also known on the Whiskey Street as the Hood Sommelier. Today, we are going to learn a lot. It is very apropos that we have in this show today because a few nights ago, we were having a dream talking about Burns Night. And today, this distillery that we're discussing definitely come apropos because is one of the places that Ro- Robbie Burns, that like people like to Robbie Burns, spent some time. Um, we can have a conversation about grain to glass or bootstrap when it comes to the whiskey industry if we don't talk about this distillery. When I heard the story and learned a little bit about it, I had to have him on. So today I have Daniel Ferguson. He is the commercial director. He's here to tell us everything we need to know about the whiskey, and I can't wait to have him on. Ladies and gentlemen, David Ferguson versus Daniel Ferguson. I made up myself, so your new name is Daniel. But David, welcome to the show.
I was just going to go along with it, Jack.
David Daniel, same person. This morning I was looking up something on the Daniel, so I think it's staying in the back of my brain. David, welcome to the show. How is it there in the land of Scotch whiskey?
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you very much for having me on. And it's a little bit cold. There was some kind of ice on the way into the distillery this morning, but yeah, good weather for
Yeah,
drinking whiskey, that's for sure.
any opportunity to drink whiskey is a good opportunity.
Agreed.
That's what I have to remind people. I say any opportunity to drink whiskey, we will take it as a good opportunity to learn more. So, Daniel, before we jump in and start, talking about the distillery stuff, I want to learn a little more about you. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in the whiskey sphere or the whiskey realm, to per se.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, my journey, I suppose, goes back over 10 years now, but I was a whiskey nerd way before I worked in the industry, so I was already very passionate about particularly Scotch, but all kinds of whiskey. I started working for an independent bottler called, so spent some time there, really great company, good people, and learned a hell of a lot because you're working with over 100 different distilleries, so lots of different liquids, and um, it was like really good place to learn. I joined Beam Suntory, so I was the bigger guys for a little while doing their casks and bulk side of that business, which was again fascinating because my customers were the master blenders of each distillery or brewery or whatever. So I was just like a sponge. I just learned again a ton from these. And then recently, just over 4 years ago, the owner of LOCHLEA, Neil, was looking for someone to help him set up the brand and the routes to market and everything. So that's where I was introduced to LOCHLEA, and yeah, it seems, I say 4 years, that makes it sound like quite short, but it really feels like we've been in the market a lot. We've covered so much ground in it in that time. So yeah, if you go back, I guess you go back 4 years, we didn't have a bottle, a logo, any legal whiskey at that stage even. So fast forward, and we're now in 27 countries, and the team has grown massively over that time, and we're starting to get the brand more well known. So it's been a really fun time over the past 4 years, but we've packed in a lot.
And very interestingly, because luckily, as a region or as an area, have a really deep rooted history in I mean, in more of farming, right, than whiskey, if I'm correct.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the connection with probably the most famous time, I guess, with Robert Burns. So that's yes, that's definitely part of our story. One, Jack, because at the beginning, when we're concepting the brand, we could have maybe gone a bit heavier on the Burns angle, but we consciously wanted to become known for making really good single malt whiskey and discover the Burns link and the other interesting parts of our history, then great. But we just felt like if we went too much on that side of the start, it might be seen as more of a gimmick or more, people trying to latch on to the story. So
Correct.
our number one aim and our focus across the whole team is to make Lockleea known for the quality of spirit and of whiskey that we're producing, because it's fantastic and very unique. And then beyond that, if people want to find out all the other things about Lockleea, you're absolutely right. There's a ton of history behind this site.
Correct. So that was kind of my thing. I'm like, oh, the Robin Burns thing, I found out later on. Obviously, I knew more about the whiskey. So you guys are doing a great job on making sure that you know, this is this is still it's still about the whiskey and not necessarily about, just Robert Burns. So now let's dive into the history of the distillery itself. How did it came about, and how did you start making, or the distillery started making, you know, whiskey?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So um, Neil, who's the owner here, Neil McGeoch, and his family owned the farm years, and they basically were it had previously been cattle in the farm, so it was a farm, and then changed over to being growing barley. And over the years, I think Neil had the idea of, okay, we're growing barley here, and we could actually go the whole hog here and do everything of making a single malt product. I think if it's like anything. If more and more people keep telling you it's a good idea, then it probably is a good idea. Neil, I think 2016, the initial plans went in, and then a couple of years later, after all the construction, the first spirit was coming off the stills of 2018 in August. So that journey, I mean, it goes back much further than that for the family, and in terms of initial idea, and then actually making that come to fruition. But now, I mean, if you, and hopefully you will come over here and see us, but it looks as if this thing has always been here. Every building on the site has been repurposed from the original farm buildings, so it's a site and place to work. So it's been I guess a labour of love for Neil and his family.
So is it currently still family owned?
Yes, 100%. And yeah, truly family owned. Not there's not some in the background from somewhere else. It's owned by McGeoch family. So that's a big benefit for us, because as a team it allows us to think much longer term. A really positive thing for a new business. We don't have to release every drop of liquid as soon as it comes of age. We've got a 30-year inventory plan, which goes way out to what's going to be in a Lockleea bottle 30 years from now. So we are very much taking that long term view, which might not be possible if we were beholden to a bunch of private equity investors, or something like that. So we're 100% family owned.
So was it a good thing that it was a family barley farm to begin with, because it's almost like you're already making as like it's like a baker already having, the the what do you call it, the flour, and selling flour, and he's like, you know what, I'm selling flowers to bakers. I, I I want to have my own bakery. So you know, that when I read the story, that's pretty much how he felt. Like you have a baker that have been selling, that I've been selling to a lot of, farmers in general or bakers in general, and it's like, you know what, I've been selling a lot of this. How about make my own? Did it kind of, is that how we came about, or it was more like, oh, we've done this for a while, I'm curious? Did this making of whiskey came out of curiosity only, or mainly just because, if I'm selling this, I might as well use it myself for, to make whiskey, see how my whiskey can come out?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely more of the latter. So Neil is passionate about whiskey, about the industry. Once you get to the stage where you're growing and you're producing enough barley on the site to actually make a distillery perfectly viable, then yeah, I guess they're so rather than growing barley, selling it into a maltster or over to other, why not our own one right here? I think one of the biggest motivations from his side was to I guess because our story is so unique, so to actually be able to say we grow every grain of barley on the farm that we use to make our whiskey. And I mean, there's 152, I think, distilleries now in Scotland active, and only two of those grow 100% of their own barley, and that's ourselves and Daft Mill. And then there's a couple, maybe a handful that grow some, like your Cohomans, but we are, yeah, because we're doing floor malting as well, we are actually in the Scotch world very, very unique in terms of being, single site.
So which make it pretty much very, very, for me, in my opinion, quite unique uh as kind of a factor when it comes to the probably, or when I think of it, probably the quality of whiskey that you guys are putting out there, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of the whiskey, I'm gonna start with your standard edition that I thought was not only the coolest design of bottle out there, right? This is very, very unique in the way it is, from the feel of the bottle itself, to kind of, I don't know, the design. I love it, and I for someone who's been in the industry and have asked question about how bottles are made, I can see the intentionality here, because this is a molded bottle that clearly has the distillery on it, and that's not cheap. That is not
No.
just a go to someone and, I picked this model and I'm just gonna bottle it. This is intention and purpose, and it looks beautiful. So tell us more about the design
Thank you.
of the bottle itself, while I'm preparing to pour a dram to talk about the
Yeah, of course.
distillation of the whiskey and the maturation.
Sure. So, I mean, the bottle itself, I appreciate you saying it took long enough to then get made, so that's nice to hear. But yeah, we wanted, it's competitive out there. We wanted even our glass and the pack and everything to stand out. The LOCHLEA that you have, you'll see the tire tracks that are embossed down the side, which is exactly what you see around the farm if we were here together. So we get a lot of customers using them for water decanters or a plant pot or whatever, which is lovely. So yeah, secondary use is always good. And then the actual pack, we've tried to strip everything right back to. We just felt that a lot of whiskey companies maybe go quite heavy on a lot of writing on a label and sort of scrolls and signatures, and it can become quite cluttered. So we've tried to do it and just tell people the name of the product, in this case our barley, some tasting notes on the back, and then you're good to go. But you can obviously learn a lot more about the distillery from our site and our socials and everything else. And so yeah, the liquid. Sorry, did you get a little pour there, Jack, or am I jumping
Yeah,
ahead?
no, go ahead. Yeah, I got a little port there.
Just before we talk about this one specifically, though, to your question about the actual production, the distillation side of things that we do that are slightly different, to other new distilleries and also to the region that we're in. So I guess if you mention Lowland, might have certain preconceptions about, light, delicate, maybe these kind of things. One of the interesting parts about LOCHLEA is that although we are physically in the lowlands, in terms of that's just where the farm is, we do not make that style of single malt. So our new make spirit style is very fruit forward, lots of like juice, but there's also this lovely biscuity cereal kind of note underneath. So any expression of LOCHLEA you try, there is a chance you're going to get some cereal, some fruit in there. Someone described to me our new make like a freshly baked like flapjack, or like like something with some fruit and some raisins and things in there. So there's nice bit of sweetness, but this lovely kind of biscuity flavor coming through. And I can't get that out of my head now. So our barley, this means a lot to us, this one, because it was the first edition that we released, and we basically wanted to have one whistle available for people, and we do, we're always on allocation, and so we needed to just say, okay, this will be on a shelf. It's the flavors of LOCHLEA. So 3 different cask types go into this one. You've got first fill bourbon, from Maker's Mark, Oloroso sherry from Jerez in Spain, and then some shaved toasted and recharred red wine barrels. So yeah, color wise, you've got that. Your picture is definitely better than mine, but you've got a lovely amber color coming. Sherry obviously gives, it's completely natural, non-chill filtered. And I mean, I never mind before you've nosed it yourself, but I don't know if do you want to tell
Yes,
me what you
yes,
get,
yes,
or vice
absolutely. When I poured it immediately, there was this kind of effervescence that I smelled a little bit, just like when if you pour yourself some fresh cola, right? Some fresh Coca-Cola. It's like there's this effervescent almost smell that you get of those fruit notes that come up immediately. That was like the first impression I've had when I poured it. So the fruitiness definitely is kind of intoxicating around here when you pour it, but there's those fresh, kind of that fresh baked bread, some fresh, like a marmalade. If you actually have had it, anybody have canned like some marmalade before, like those peach marmalade that if you can them, you got have them hot and then they become, you got to cool them off to kind of seal them down. You get those fruit cooked. Um, Cereal, you know, I will compare it to some. There's a little bit of the hint of cinnamon up there on the nose as well. So for me, it's very not what I expect from a lowland whiskey, like you mentioned. There's no delicacy here. There's more of a that it draws you in right away. It has a little bit of that uh embrace approach. It's like meeting a friend that just hug you really hard and just love on you, because there's not that, that softness into it. There is those sharp note that you get right away. You have that fruit, you have those wine kind of note, a little bit of even some of those, um, like I said, like fresh baked bread that you get right on the nose. So that would be my
yeah.
description of it. as I actually I'm nosing it. Beautiful on the color. Um, so you talked about, obviously 100% malted barley distilled, and I want to hear more about maturation because you talked about some STR, but what else do we have there beside the STR barrels? Is it first fill? Do we have first fill ex bourbon cask and then we move on to the STR? How is that, or is it blending of those process?
Yeah. So for this dram, it's full in the three different cask types, and then brought together for the final bottling. So within that, you've got first fill bourbons, which are all from Maker's Mark, and that's I don't know if you find this, Jack, but you mentioned sherry casks or wine or port or rum, whatever. What I find is people quite often feel about those, what type of, or, where was the vineyard from the wine and what was the altitude, the grapes that came off the vine. There's a lot of questions around that. And then you say bourbon cask and everyone goes, okay, bourbon cask, as if all bourbon casks are
No.
the same. Which, yeah, obviously it's crazy, but I can understand why that's the view, because as an industry, I think Scotch historically just says, okay, we lump all bourbon, that's just what we get. So we all the barley on site and have that traceability, then just source asks from, some third party or a broker or whatever, and not know where they've come from. So we want to control the whole end-to-end quality of the process. So with the bourbons, we trialed about 9 different types of bourbon barrel on the makers, and there was some in there that were high rye mash bills, some that were a little bit sweeter, like the makers, higher wheat content, and those just worked spirit. So it's not that any of were bad. We're not, they would be good for other distilleries. These makers barrels were just perfect. So that's why we've selected those to go in here, and then the other two, a Oloroso sherry, which once is sole supplier in Jerez. Again, first fill, and finally the STRs. Those STRs are rejuvenated wine barrels, so they would have had Rioja, Spanish, and then they go through a process of shaving the inside, toast, refire, and then we can use them for our product. And the reason that we use those 3 types for this is that we felt that ratio and everything, that gives about 60-20-20 in the order we've described, that just amplifies all the flavors you've just talked about. So that marmalade, that kind of juicy fruit up front, and then this lovely cereal, kind of like a baked dessert or something, like an apple crumble, those kind of lovely toasted biscuity notes coming through. So there was a lot of thought and effort went into this, because, to be honest, the majority of people who've tried Lochleia whiskey to date, it's probably bad, because it's the only one that's regularly available.
I guess it's time to say slancha.
Excuse me. Cheers. Yeah, I get the thing. What you mentioned there about that kind of baked, like you walk past a bakery in the morning, you get that lovely smell wafted through. I get that even more on the palate. It's like this becomes slightly sweet, and then the STR is what gives that little, almost kind of pepper, like little tingle right at the end there on the finish.
Tell you what, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's not this. Let me explain. I don't know what I was expecting, but it's
In a
not
good
this
way.
because there is something about your whiskey. There's this oiliness that you get on your tongue that you almost have to scrape, that keep all the tasting note like right there. Like it almost doesn't go away when you take a sip. There is, and I can see it on the glass too. If you look at that, is for oh, as a whiskey nerd, that's beauty right there. That's like a demonstration of, and that first note that you get is like I'm telling you, is like biting into a dessert. It's like that, almost that gushiness that you get on that first sip. There's this fruity. It's like the only thing I can compare it to is biting into a fresh pear that is like perfectly ripe, and you get all those beautiful like juice coming through. It's not an apple, it's more of a pear, because it doesn't that effervescent that I was mentioning is the blending skills here. It's also to recommend because it's balance, and that crispiness that I was mentioning is what I'm getting. Like there's that crispiness. Is it's clean, it's crisp, but yet it has those heavy note that in the back of your that palate there kind of stays with you. And this come at 46% ABV. Um, I will show it. Beautiful design bottle, 46% ABV. You can't go wrong with that. It's a perfect proof. Thank you for not doing the lowland thing and putting it at 40 or 42% ABV, because I promise, I tell people all the time, that's boring. No one wants that. We 46 is the beautiful thing we want. 46 is a perfect ABV to enjoy all the flavors. I'm getting every single part of this. It's beautiful, it's balanced, it's crisp, and it's not boring. It is not boring, and that is a big deal for me. That is a big deal. No one wants boring whiskey, and that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And
No,
for
I
it to
mean,
come from such a
what you
such a
just
more of a small distillery and be that good, you get all the kudos. If this is your standard opinion, this option, this is the best way to introduce the work you do to the folks, and that is very much so appreciated.
thank you. Yeah, and likewise, I appreciate the feedback. It's our kind of pride and joy as a team, this one. So yeah, that means a lot. And you just what you mentioned there, Jack, about the even the texture and the kind of viscosity that you get with this one. There's a couple of things that we intentionally do to try and produce that. So me on the other side of this wall are the stills and the washbacks, and through there, the guys, um, two things they do different, I would say. First of all, in the mashing stage, so when we're actually mixing our grain with water now, a lot of new distilleries talk about a clear wort, so really very clear, very light and fruity, and that's okay. But actually, what we do is we agitate the grain a little bit, so we squeeze the tea bag. Really, we kind of get it nice and mixed after the third water goes in, which pulls through more of that lovely cereal biscuity flavour. Um, and then on the other side, when we get to the stills, we have, please stop me if I go too far down the kind of rabbit of distilling, but we have like descending line arms. So you see the stills, we get more of those heavier, oilier compounds coming over, which is exactly so what you've described about the, seeing that in the glass. And this is intentional. We don't want that light, delicate style. We want something nice and full bodied, and that I think you described earlier, the flavour just kind of hits you. That's what we want. We want people to take a drink of LOCHLEA and go, okay, there's something to this, and it's different to, it has its own unique style and DNA. It's different to what else they've tried.
And I think I can definitely see it. A lot of single malt kind of, honestly, I believe, kind of blends together and kind of do the same thing and kind of stay where, in kind of, I call it that niche pocket. So when a single malt is standing out, I get excited because I feel like you're truly bringing something new and different. If the average, the average drinker cannot pick kind of your single malt out of a line of two or three, you're not doing the right thing. You just like everybody else, and I feel like you stand on it. Like I said, the viscosity only sets you apart on how it stays on your tongue. So, like I said, I've heard
Yeah.
about the whiskey. This is my first time having the whiskey. So you're getting 100% first impression out of me. So this is
I'm glad you like
yeah,
it.
this I
Otherwise, this
tell
would be an
people all the
awkward
time. My
call.
interviews can go sideways quickly because I can try something and go, I don't know about this, right? So I'm glad we are getting into it, and it is a journey. So let's talk about expression. So this one is your kind of, I would say, your flagship
Yep.
expression that mostly, if anybody want to start, to know, you know likely, this is where you start, right? This is get to know us. Now let's talk about your other expressions. What are things from there? Where did you guys go, or what did you try to experiment with?
Yeah, of course. So our barley, you're absolutely right. That is our go introduction to who we are. Um, Beyond that, we right now we have four what we call seasonal expressions, so limited releases that we do once per year. You can maybe see them behind me here and the different colors.
I'm gonna
So the
try to
idea with
display it to the folks so they can see the expressions that you
sure,
have, which will make it much easier. And I have to tell you, you guys have probably one of the most sleekest website. I love how you design your website. Whomever did that
thank
is
you.
playing with my brain, because I kept going to it because it's just slick, it's beautiful. So I'm gonna show a little bit what that, for all of you guys who do not know. This is the website. These are the expressions. I'd like to
Yes, I mean,
this
yeah, that
time.
first of all, I can't take any credit at all for that. That's the website is Jen and Sarah here that create that. So that's all them. But yeah, thank you for that again. And the expressions that you can see here on the screen are the four seasonal limited releases. So going from left to right, you've got Sowing Edition, which is all first fill bourbons in springtime. You've then got Harvest, which is port casks, a bit sweeter. That one's summertime, and then you have Fallow that comes out in fall, so 100% sherry there, much darker. And finally, Ploughing on the right, which is the peated expression for winter. So the way that we have tried to let people try the different Lochleea expressions over the first few years of the brand is to do one of these each per year, and then we'll each time we age up and we maybe play around with some cask profiles. But the main purpose of this is to show the progression of what we're doing and for people to follow us in that journey. So yes, our barley can be your go-to dram, and that's amazing. But we also want to bring some new things out so that people have something interesting to try. So over the past 3 years, we've done one batch per year of those, and we're now on to the third batches. We call them crops because we're a farm, but yeah, it's batches. So the third ones are now coming to an end, and that'll be it for the seasonals. So yeah, really keep your eyes open for the what's coming later this year from Lochleea, because our barley is not going anywhere. Cask strength that we'll talk about is not going anywhere, but there's going to be something new coming very soon. So we've learned a lot. We've got a lot of feedback over the past 3 years of doing the seasonal ones, and now we're ready to to bring out something very cool, a little kind of range that will be hopefully more available, because that's, to be honest, Jack, that's the biggest challenge with these ones, is to try.
Is to have enough whiskey for folks, because
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if you're a grain to glass distillery, clearly, and you obviously are bringing out on the market things that are, you know, very small quantity, very high quality, and different, it makes sense that the average person cannot find it even if they want to, because even on the website at this point, as I look through, there may be the second crop and our barley that is available. Everything else is sold out. You know, I can clearly see sold out, because now I can, you know, I can see why. I can see why, because, you know, the if this is a whiskey that I'll pour, not necessarily to a beginner into single malt. Somebody, if I have a friend that we enjoy single malt all the time, and he comes to me say I have something to talk about, I'm pulling out this, because this is a conversational whiskey. This is, we have something to address. Let's sit down and have a dram and address it, because of the depth and the just the profile, the depth of flavor brings you that thing of, okay, I can have a dram and sit on it for the next 15 minutes and enjoy it while I'm watching a movie, while I'm talking to a friend, while we having a serious conversation. So, which now get me excited, because if this is the regular expression, I'm curious about the cask strength expression that you have. I mean, the color is already scary. The color of this cask strength is already scary, and I'm gonna show you folks on the screen what that. Hopefully, it's here. Is that the cask strength? Yeah, is that the
that
batch?
one. So that'll be the fallow one, which is also sherry, but Castron should be on there somewhere. Maybe on its
Somewhat.
different page. But yeah, that one. So that just the rationale behind the cast strength is,
Yes.
we brought out our barley, and it won a few awards and things, which is always nice. But then a lot of our customers and our followers wanted to see something just left alone, so no dilution at all. Um, yeah, there it is, right there, Jack. The just above. Here we go.
Perfect. That's the one.
So
That's
that
the one.
that
I really want folks to see this bottle in its color and glory. It's just the most beautiful thing I've seen. Look, the color on this is scary. When I saw it, I'm like, okay. Uh, and literally mentions on the color, no. Again, first impression of this bottle. I've never had it. This is no no chill filters, no color added, and is sherry and STR. I I am a little nervous to get into this, because if I like this, I'm gonna be in a hurt of in a lot of in a word of hurt, because I'm gonna want not only a bottle to enjoy, but I want one just to keep, to show that there's sherries and STR that are definitely breaking ground on the, knowing already the base and the viscosity. Um, this is gonna be interesting. So let's get to it and see. This is 60% ABV, just the way I like it. And for all of you guys, is lucklydistillery.com. Go on there to find out every one of the expression. And um,
So
yeah,
this one is, yeah, like you say, Jack, 60% straight from the casks to the bottle. Again, no colouring, so that what you see, that really rich dark liquid, that's completely natural. So nothing added, nothing taken away. And this one, you mentioned the sherry and STR. There's actually two different types of sherry within that. So there is some Oloroso, but there's also a big chunk of PX cask, Pedro Jimenez casks in here. So there's yeah, a definite richness and even maybe even more mouthfeel, even more of that texture that you talked about.
All right, slancha.
Cheers. I mean, the thing for me that I get straight away with this one, Jack, is more. Whereas with our barley, we talked a lot about juicy fruit, cereal, and this one is. I think it goes a totally different way. I think you've got more kind of coffee, chocolate, much richer flavors. But it's yeah, the only I guess the biggest difference cask wise is that there's no bourbon influence in here, so you maybe won't get the same sweetness or that kind of toasted vanilla.
Remember when I was talking about the effervescence?
Yeah.
This is chocolate covered sherry coke. This is
Okay.
chocolate covered cherry coke. Like if you had a piece of dark chocolate in your mouth and you had a sip of cherry coke, that's the feeling in my mouth. It's I want it in a highball. I want it neat. I want it I want to make a Manhattan out of this.
Mm.
You know, I
Yeah, that's a good show.
chocolate covered cherry coke. That's what if I had to give this somebody asked me, well, what does this taste like? Chocolate covered cherry coke. It's crispy. You get those note, but there's that chewiness, almost like having those dark cocoa chocolate, like 75 25 dark African cocoa that have that a little bit of that bitterness, but it is chewy. You get it's creamy, but immediately the effervescence and those cherry note, those like dark burnt caramel sugar note are there, and it's making me forgetting about the barley side. As is so effervescent, is it makes you happy right away.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I mean, a few more glasses, you'll be even happier. But yeah,
Oh
this is
yeah.
this is
This
it's
it
dangerous.
if you love sherry cask and you want that spirit that will brighten your day, like there's a little of those. I'm getting a little of those lemon zest kind of like there, but that I cannot get over how crispy it feels in my mouth when I have it. I want to chew on it. Like I want to chew on this. I just don't want to, swallow it. I want to chew on it. I want it to get to all parts of my mouth because of the feeling it gives you. Yeah, if you're a sherry fan and you ask yourself, can I enjoy something that have all the full effect of a sherry cask? There you go. I found it for you. You're welcome. This is it.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, the cast strength. We did one batch last year, which had some bourbon element to it, and then this year, the one that we're trying right now, well, excuse me, released the end of last year, but this one that's just arrived in the US is we've taken that bourbon out, we've replaced it with some heavier sherry, so it's still full strength, but takes on a totally different character. So I agree with you. I think if you like your sherry whiskies, but you don't want something where you can't get any of the kind of spirit character or the barley or the maltiness, then this is probably a good balance.
This is freaking delicious. This is like
You describe it better than I did, Jack. But yeah, thank you.
it's it is. I always say this, and for all of you guys who don't know, they're imported here by Impex Beverage. If you know something about Impex Beverage, and the reason why mostly I always like to interview the brands of their portfolio is Sam Films from Impex Beverage is no bullshit when it comes to industry. The man have been in the industry long enough. He will never bring anything to the US market that doesn't believe he doesn't personally believe is top tier. And I'm telling you, I knew that it would be good whiskey, but I did not know that it would be fantastic like this. Sam is somebody that I respect his palate. Him and his team have amazing palate. So I knew it would be good whiskey, but this, I hope every award that is coming in 2025 is mentioning LOCHLEA as one of the whiskeys that need to be awarded for just the simple quality of the white dog that's going into this barrel and just the immense intention behind how the whiskey is made. Because for me, uh, like I said, this will be something as a conversation. This is my whiskey. I will put my name behind it. My whiskey, don't touch. That's dad's whiskey. No one touch it because it's just that delicious. Have me a pour to celebrate after a long day. Me just had want to enjoy something that have those beautiful sherry. I want a steak now. I just want a big piece of steak to actually pair with this thing, with some, just some sauce on top of my steak and a prime rib, and it will pair perfectly with this. Like I say, I will have a highball with this. I will have a Manhattan with this. It's a Rob Roy. Like this will fit anywhere. It's like French people call it passepartout. It's like the whiskey that you can put everywhere, and it will work. It's I am, I'll teach people whiskeys from around the world, and I think I found a new favorite to
Thank
explain
you.
to people how sherry maturation is quite important in the making of good single malt and STR cask.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Jack, because I think I mean, I love sherry cask whiskies, but sometimes I think if it's spent maybe too long, especially if it was a first fill cask, the older you get, you can get that kind of dry, tannic, it's sort of almost like clawing. It makes your kind of jaws come together.
Let's say
Whereas
it literally tastes almost annoying because it's like having too much. And I think, to put it in better word, that's what how I feel. Is I feel like usually when it comes to cherry, sherry cask in general, as most people are either doing too much for first fill or not enough because they kind of put a drop of it in there in the blend just to give you that shade. But no one really find the perfect time to pull that cask and say, okay, now it's perfect. There's only few brands that can truly do a cask strength sherry and you're like perfection.
thank you.
And
I
I
feel like I'm taking the credit for the rest. I mean, I it's our master blender, Jill, that puts our whiskies together, and the production guys, Darren, and the team here. But yeah, I really appreciate the feedback. And yeah, like I say, I think because this is still, it's not a 15, 20-year old first fill sherry, so it's still got all that freshness, and it's not dried out in any way. So yeah, that's my own favorite thing about this dram is that it's so, I mean, dangerously easy for a 60% cask
correct,
strength.
correct. No, dangerously easy is the perfect word to use. And so, which bring me to my question is, what is the average maturation time of this whiskeys? I know it cannot be more than 5 or 7 because there's no way.
Yeah.
What? I don't know if you can disclose that, but what's the average maturation time?
Yeah, of course. So with our barley, we're talking sort of 4.5 years for that one is the average across the casks. For this one that we just tried, we're just under five. There's actually a couple of the casks in here that are over 5 years old, but we don't put an age statement on just yet. But yeah, we as a distillery, we just had our sixth birthday in August last year, so we're 6.5 years old. So yeah, you can have a good idea of what age the liquid is going to be.
Correct.
I think that's part of the, for me, that's part of probably one of the most exciting things about Lochleea is that we're sitting together on other sides of the world trying this at 5 years old, and enjoying it. I just can't. I mean, imagine what we're going to be talking about and trying together when it's 8, when it's 10, it's 50. There's just the great thing. I think we weren't around 200 years ago when a lot of distilleries opened up, but we're here now, so we can try Lochleea at this stage, and then look back together 10, 15, 20 years from now when we were trying the first stuff that ever came out. So that, yes, it's that kind of potential as well that I love about this business.
That speaking of potential, I think one of my last question will be, what should we look forward to, especially in the U.S. market? I know the UK and Scottish market probably is getting more because obviously, just location. But the U.S. market right now, for all of you who don't know, luckily is in the U.S. imported by Impex Beverage, and they are doing an amazing job in. There's so many whiskey. I want to highlight that when it comes to good quality whiskey, age is irrelevant. One of the best whiskeys I've had in my life. I'm a peat head, and I'm one of the best whiskeys I've had there that is sold over $200 in on the market is 5 years old. So just tell you that when it comes to good quality whiskey, is irrelevant. I hate even asking that question sometimes, but I can only imagine what happened to this whiskey 5 years from now. It's probably going to be phenomenal. Not even fantastic, phenomenal. So I can't wait for that. But what is coming on the market? What is, now that I'm a fan of Lockley, what should I look forward to for 2025?
Okay, so in the US, the ones that have just are just arriving right now are both behind me here. So the Harvest Edition, which is port casks, and the Fallow Edition, which is all sherry. Those two are the last of the two seasonal releases. So those are hitting the market very soon. The other very cool thing to look forward to, which the our good friends at Impix and Sam and the team will be picking up from here shortly, is we did one age statement release, very small quantity, but it's 6 years old, so it's the oldest liquid ever to come out of Lochleea. That one just bottled literally last week, so Sam and the guys will pick that one up very soon, and it should be with you in the next kind of two or 3 months, I would think. But that's a real limited. It's in the kind of box up that you can see here. So we went a bit more heavy on the packaging just to really highlight that, yeah, oldest, and actually putting an age on the bottle, which is something we haven't really done.
Make sure Sarah let me know when it's available because I cannot wait to
but yeah,
to
the other
actually see this, because this will be, I can only imagine what the taste profile is this. But I'm gonna start describing Luckily as the whiskey playground of every nerd that wanna try some whiskey, some crispy whiskey. You're gonna be the crispy whiskey of the industry, for most folks, because I truly believe, and I'm gonna talk to retailers, right? Retailers, listen to me. There's great whiskey that are made out there, but if you don't make space on a shelf for the small guys, you are literally not offering your consumer the best in the industry. Because when a small distillery is making something, I tell people, think about it this way. Would you rather eat out of your mom's kitchen or go into a normal restaurant, assuming your mom is a good cook, or go into, go into a restaurant that you don't know, and just buy frozen things out of a fridge and just heat it up. You don't know what is in it. You don't know how it's made. It's just standardized for everybody. But there's something about eating in a friend's or a mom's or a um, family kitchen where there's that extra love. It's like buying cake from a small bakery that the owner, and she put extra butter into making it or something, and buying cake off the floor of a general store, is never gonna be the same. So listen to me. I want to make sure, and there is already a question here that it came out, but maybe Sam, our importer will answer that better. A lot of people also want to carry these things, but sometimes they are in America. We have control state. I mean, the state have to buy it and that. And a few people always ask me this when we do this, but distribution wise, do you know how we work, or you have no idea how we work? That will be my question to you. My final question to you is what is distribution looks like in the US? If you know, if not, we can answer those questions later on. If I ask, impacts how it goes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I speak to Sam and the guys regularly, and I mean, good. You know them, really good people, and have a great portfolio of brands. So I think we fit just right in there with our kind of unique style. But in terms of distribution, we're represented across quite a few states now, which is great. Mary and her team, they do a great job of getting the bottles out there. I think right now it's probably something like like limited releases. There might not be that many bottles per state, but with our barley, that's the one that now we're starting to get some bigger listings and get much wider distribution with. So the guys are doing a great job with that. I've been over, I think, 3 times already, and I've seen it in stores all across up the northeast, over in California. I'll be coming over again pretty soon, so it's growing. I couldn't tell you exactly, each
No, I will.
individual.
I'll make sure I ask Melissa or Sam and kind of know where people can find it. I'll post it later for people to
Yeah.
know.
But the
But
one, sorry, Jack, the one thing to note is if you get the chance to try Locklear and you think, okay, I like this stuff, I want to see where this is going, just wait for the end of this year, because you'll be the first ever kind of core range of products is coming, and that's what we're all working towards in here. And our master blender has been pulling samples today about it. There's going to be some pretty special bottlings coming later this year through the guys at Epics.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to what is happening with Lockley, because it's gonna be quite interesting. So I will tell you guys, if you are on Instagram or on Facebook now, or if you're watching this interview later on, I will tell you right now, make sure you actually follow them, and make sure you actually go on Instagram. They're the same thing as Lockley Whiskey. On Facebook, same thing, Lockley Whiskey. Just make sure you follow them. Give them a follow. Make sure you actually, and if you have any question, DM them, and they'll probably direct you, if you're in the US, to their importer. They can help you how to go. But if you want to get on the website and see what they're having, or if you're traveling internationally, don't be shy. Make sure you look them up and grab yourself a bottle of this. I promise you, I always keep it real and tell you exactly how things just taste. But is LochleyDistillery.com. You cannot miss it. David, what's your last word for the people that are trying your whiskey out there?
Thank you. I think that's the bit. I mean, we're a small family-owned business, and we genuinely appreciate everyone who buys a dram of our whiskey. So we'll keep doing it in our own unique single site way, and hopefully more and more people can try the liquid, because that's what it's all about for us.
For all of you guys watching, thank you so much for being here, supporting the channel, and obviously watching this. This will make sure to post the recap, the recaps we posted on YouTube, and obviously on Facebook. And for people on LinkedIn, make sure you reach out to David. He knows what he's doing. And make sure if you want to do business with Lockley or Impex Beverage, make sure you check them out on this post. And for all of you on TikTok that are watching now, just want to say thank you for watching. And this is me expanding the world of whiskey to everyone so they can really get in and find something new. The market is boring. It's time to find something much more interesting. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.